What's up guys, my name's Brandon and today I'm going to be showing you more than 40 new features and changes found in iPadOS 15 Beta 1. Now if you missed my video from yesterday where I showed off over 85 new features in iOS 15, make sure you go and watch that because a lot of those features are also included here in iPadOS 15, and I'm not going to be repeating, many features from that video. But if you want to watch that, I will leave it linked up in the cards and down in the description below. But this video is all about the iPad and iPadOS 15. So I'm going to be sharing some of the best new features and changes added with this new, really underrated software release. And before we get into the new features and changes, I did just want to point out that all devices that were supported with iPadOS 14 are also supported with iPadOS 15, and that includes the original iPad Pro and the iPad Air 2 from 2014, which is crazy. That is 7 years of software support, which is seriously just impressive. So now let's check out what's new here in iPadOS 15 Beta 1. And the first thing you will notice right after unlocking your device for the very first time is that the Today view is gone. There is no Today view over here on the left-hand side like we had in iPadOS 14. And if you swipe over, you can see we still do have some widgets right here, but it's not the Today view. And that appears to be completely gone here in iPadOS 15. But that's because we now have widgets on the home screen. So this is huge. Of course, we got widgets on the home screen for iOS and the iPhone last year, and we were all wondering why it didn't come to the iPad. But now with iPadOS 15, you can see we can add widgets to the home screen by simply tapping and holding on the screen and tapping on the plus up in the top left. And you can see we have this brand new UI here for the widgets. And you can see we have all of our suggested widgets right here in the middle. And then over on the left-hand side, we have a little sidebar with the widgets we can choose from. And we also have 5 new widgets. So we have the App Store, we have Find My, we have Game Center, we have Mail, and we have the Contacts widget. So all of those are new here in iPadOS 15, and they all look great on the home screen. And one of my favorites is actually Files, because this year you can see it's actually more transparent than it was in iPadOS 14. It was more white and just more opaque in general, but now it's more transparent here in iPadOS 15. And you can also specify a location for the Files widget right here. You can choose the location that you want it to show up. Also, the clock is new here as well. It's more transparent than it was in iPadOS 14, and you can see we have like big sizes for the calendar and things like that. Just widgets on the home screen look very good here in iPadOS 15. We also have a new UI for widget stacks or smart stacks. So you can see right here, I have this smart stack, and if I go ahead and tap and hold on this and go to edit stack, we have this new UI here where we can move them around or remove them. It's just a much easier to navigate, UI here for those stacks. Now also new in iPadOS 15 is the app library. So if we go all the way over to the right, you can see we have an app library with a really cool little animation there. And you can see it's actually coming from the dock. And that's because you can also access the app library from anywhere on the screen by simply tapping on the little icon down here in the dock that indicates this is the app library. So you can see that right there. We have all of our applications categorized right here. We also have the app library search bar where you can see all the applications you have installed in alphabetical order. Now you can disable this from the dock if you want to. If we go into our settings here and then go to home screen and dock, you can see right here we have show app library and dock. So you can turn that on or turn that off. Here's what it looks like when it's off. Of course, it just does not appear, but at least you do have the option to enable that or disable that if you want to. And then also I love the fact that we now can have newly downloaded apps just go to the app library and not to the home screen. So of course now, since we do have the app library, that means that we can now hide pages. So you can see here when we go ahead and go into wiggle mode and tap on the little page icons down here, you can see we can hide pages, and we can also move these pages around as well. So if you wanted to reorder your pages really quickly, you could do so just like this. And of course, if you wanted to hide the pages, you could just uncheck them right there, tap on done, and go out of this, and you will see that you just have the one page right there. And to get them back, of course, you just go into here and check them off again. You'll notice that you can also delete entire pages, and that will send all of those applications back to the app library. Now, if you have an Apple Pencil, you will get a new feature called Quick Notes. So I'm gonna go ahead and take my Apple Pencil off the top right here. And if we go ahead and drag up from the bottom right, you will see we now have this Quick Note interface right here. So that used to be the screenshot. When you would pull up right here, you would be able to screenshot screenshot, that's actually now on the left-hand side. So if we pull up on the left-hand side with our Apple Pencil, you can see that's what takes a screenshot now. And we also have some UI changes here inside of the markup section right here. So these are both changed right here, and also inside of here we have some minor UI changes as well, but nothing major. But anyways, quick note is really cool because you're able to do, obviously you can write things down really quickly, but you can also drag things in to these quick notes. So for example, if I go into, let's just say Safari, and you'll notice that when I started scrolling inside of Safari here, that the little quick note went off to the side, but we can just simply tap right here to get it back. And you can see there's little prompts right here that says add link. So if I wanted to add a link to where I'm at currently in Safari, I can do that by just simply tapping on add link, but we can also drag photos in. For example, if I wanted to bring this iPad into here, I can do that just like so. So it says drawings will be updated, just tap on OK, and you can see the image is in there and you can kind of move it around as you would like. You also have the markup right here, so you can do things inside of this quick note. And you have these three dots right here where you can share it or delete it. You have this right here as well, where it takes you into the full-on notes application, but just a really cool feature that will definitely come in handy when you're trying to take a quick note, or if you just want to, drag images into a certain note from Safari very quickly, you can do that. Now, I did show you guys that you screenshot now from the left-hand side, but if you go into our settings here and then go to Apple Pencil, you can see that you actually now get pencil gestures here inside of the settings. So this is new, and it shows left corner swipe and right corner swipe. So you see screenshot and quick notes. Now, unfortunately, you can only either, toggle that on or off. You cannot switch these two. That may come in a future update, but for now, these are stuck on, the right and the left. Now, if we go back into settings and go to Control Center, you will notice that we have a new toggle here in iPadOS 15 for low power mode. So low power mode is finally now on the iPad. So you can access this through the Control Center. You can just simply tap on it and it will, turn your battery yellow to indicate you are in low power mode. You can also get to this by going to your settings, battery, and you will see low power mode up top. So that is now available for the iPad. Also inside of settings, you will notice that these sections take up more real estate than they have before. So they're not as small. The sections right here are just not as compact. So you can see it side by side with iOS 14, and it's kind of strange because in iOS 15 compared to iOS 14, it got smaller, but in iPadOS, the settings, little panes right here, got bigger. Now going back into Safari, we have a lot of changes in the Safari app in iPadOS 15. So first of all, you can see that that quick note popped back up because I did have that, active. I did open up that quick note when I was in Safari, but I could just simply swipe over to get rid of that right there. But you can see, first of all, that we have a new feature here in iPadOS 15 also called shelves. So we have these different shelves down here which show every instance of Safari that I currently have open. So you can switch from, app to app or window to window, just like so. And to get rid of them, of course, you just start swiping on, whatever you're doing right now on this web page right here. And to get them back, you just simply tap on the app icon down in the dock. But anyways, here inside of Safari, you will notice some major differences right away with the address bar, with the tabs, pretty much everything. So up here in the address bar, we now have the X where we can X out of the tab by simply tapping on that. We also have these three little dots right here, which if you tap on those, we can get different options like reload. This is just the share sheet for the Safari application. If we tap on the address bar right here as well, you can see we have some different options in here, like shared with you. We have the favorites, we have the privacy report right here. And then also up in the address bar, you can see that we have a microphone for dictation. Also over here on the left, we have a new sidebar inside of Safari. So you can tap on that and you can see this is the sidebar that we get right here, which shows our bookmarks, our history, our tabs. We can open a new window, a new private window right here if we want to. We also have this button right here, which shows create new tab groups, which is also new in iOS and iPadOS 15. So if I wanted to add all of these tabs to a specific group, I can do that. So I'll just do new tab group from 5 tabs. And this looks like it's mostly related to investing. So I'll just type in investing and tap on OK, and that will be over here. So now if I wanted to go into that tab group anytime, I could just simply tap on this over here in the sidebar. You can also pinch in to see all of the tabs open in this view right here, and you can add a new tab by tapping on the plus right there. Now also, we have a new way to refresh as well. So of course you could tap on these 3 dots and just tap on reload if you want to. But an easier way here in iPadOS 15 is just to simply swipe down, and you can see it refreshes the web page just like that. Very, very easy to refresh now in iPadOS 15. And also when we go to create a new tab, you have this new start screen right here, where at the bottom we have an edit button. And when we tap on that, we have this right here where it says use start page on all devices. That is a new toggle. And then also background image. So you can select a custom background image to show up here inside of Safari, just like you can do on macOS. And then finally, we also have extensions for Safari. So if we go into our settings here and then go down to Safari and then to extensions, and then to more extensions, we are taken to a subsection of the App Store for Safari extensions. So just like we have on Safari on the Mac, we now have that on the iPad. And in here, you can see you can activate these extensions just like so. So there are a lot of ad blockers. I'm sure there will be a lot more useful extensions with time as well. Now, while we have been going through these different applications, you might have noticed these three little dots up at the top of this window right here. And that is actually a major part of iPadOS 15 because that is going to be the new way to multitask. So if we tap on those three dots up there, you will see that we get three different windows. So we have a full screen, we have a split screen, and then we have a slide over view. So if I go to split screen, which is the one in the middle right here, it goes over to the side because it's letting me select what application I want to split screen with. This time it's App Store. So if I want to have, let's just say Safari with App Store, I tap on that and you can see it opens them up right here in the split screen view. Now, if I tap on these three dots right here again and go to the slide over view, you can see it puts this in slide over, and I can do multitasking with another application here. So like Safari or like Mail, for example, I could put that in the split screen and this will be over here in that slide over view. Now we can also see this specific setup inside of the app switcher. So if I go into the app switcher right here, you can see it shows this split screen view right here with Safari and Mail. It actually shows right here exactly what tabs are open as well. And we have the slide over view right here. But what's cool is I can actually close out of, let's just say Mail, just from here, and it puts Safari back into a full screen application. So just a lot of customizability here with this new multitasking in iPadOS 15. I really love it. We also have some changes inside of the Mail application. So if we go ahead and tap and hold on an email right here, we have a new UI for marking messages. So you can see when you want to mark it as unread or mark it as junk or just flag it, you have a new UI for doing that. It's much more intuitive and easier than it was in iPadOS 14. We can also open an email in a new window. So it says open in a new window. When you tap on that, you can see it pulls up this window right here, and we can multitask with this window as well. That is an additional little option there inside of the multitasking pane. And when we go into the app switcher, you can see that it shows that we do have multiple pages open. So that means that we can go ahead and tap on Mail right here, and you can see the shelves right here that show the different instances of the Mail application that we currently have opened. Also inside of the Mail settings, inside of the settings application, if they go down, we have privacy protection, which this is also on iOS 15, but this is basically a must enable setting here in iPadOS 15. So this will hide your IP address and loads remote content privately in the background from your emails. So definitely recommend having that turned on for privacy reasons. We also have some changes inside of the Files application. So if we go ahead and open this up right here, and if we go ahead and tap on these four little squares up in the top right, you can see this is of course where we change the icon view to the list view or the column view, but now we have use groups down here at the bottom. That is new, and if we tap on that, you can see it uses groups now to group things together. And you can change what it is grouped by right here as well. So by kind, by date, or by size, you have the option to group them by any of those. Also, if we long press on a folder or a file, you can see that we have rearranged settings right here, rearranged actions that we can do with that file, with get info being at the very top. If you tap on that, you can see the info right there, whereas before it was much further down in this section. And probably the biggest change to the Files application in iPadOS 14 is the fact that we now have a progress bar when transferring data over to the Files application. So I'm going to go ahead and plug in my SSD right here. All right, so we have my T5 plugged in, and I want to have a different instance of the Files application open, so I can just go ahead and do this very easily. So we have on my iPad over here, and we have the T5 over here. I'm going to drag a big file over so you guys can see the new progress bar here in iPadOS. So we're going to drag this 7 GB file over right here. So let's go ahead and drag this on over. And you can see up here we have this little circle. If you tap on that, you can see a progress bar right there that shows how far along this transfer is. So you can see exactly how long it is. It just really looks like macOS now on iPadOS 15, which is great. We've been needing a progress bar there for a while. iPadOS 15 also introduces universal control, which is a great new feature that allows you to use a keyboard, a mouse, or a trackpad to work seamlessly across iPad and macOS. So basically you can use the same mouse and the same keyboard for both macOS and for iPadOS, and you can work between the two seamlessly. It works really, really well. Also in iPadOS 15, we have offline Siri support. So if we go ahead and put this into airplane mode, I'm going to turn my Wi-Fi off. You will see that Siri works now even when offline. Set timer for 5 seconds. You can see there it's working. Stop timer. All while in airplane mode with no internet connection. Now, of course, you cannot look up, things that rely on the internet, but you can at least use Siri without being connected to the internet. Also new in iPadOS 15 is a supercharged Spotlight search. So Spotlight search is now much more powerful and much smarter in iPadOS 15. So you can actually install and delete applications straight from this Spotlight search. So for example, if I wanted to install, let's just say Uber, I don't think I have that. So if we go and tap on go, you can see that we actually have the little download icon right here, and we can download this straight from Spotlight. You could also delete applications straight from Spotlight here as well. So if I go ahead and type in, let's just say Prime right here. If we go and tap and hold on this, you can see that we can delete the application straight from the Spotlight search, which is awesome. We can also search for things like photos, information about celebrities. So for example, if I just want to search for cat, you can see it pulls up images of me with my cat. Or if I want to search for car, you can see it pulls up a bunch of images of cars here straight inside of the Spotlight search. Also, if you have a Magic Keyboard and you hold the Command key, you can see you have a new UI for the commands, and you can actually tap on these commands as well to run that specific action that those commands do. So there are also more commands than there were in iPadOS 14 if you have that Magic Keyboard. Also in iPadOS 15, you can now rotate iPhone applications in landscape mode. So before, like in iPadOS 14, if you had an iPhone only application installed on the iPad, it was stuck in portrait mode. You could not rotate to landscape, but now you can. Also with iPadOS 15 and the Swift Playgrounds application, you can now code and publish an iPhone or iPad application from start to finish entirely on the iPad. So you no longer need a computer to fully write and publish an application, which is awesome, especially for young kids wanting to get into app development. And as far as other features and changes, a lot of the headlining features are also in iOS 15, and I already covered those in my video from yesterday where I showed off 85 new features, but we do have the same FaceTime changes as we saw in iOS 15, along with the same focus and the same notification changes. So for example, if we go down in the control center right here, you can see focus. We do have a small change here to the UI of focus on iPadOS. It shows the little icons over there, whereas it doesn't show that on iOS, but you do have all of these right here. We can choose a focus. And if you want to learn more about that, I did talk about that in my iOS 15 video. We also have these same changes inside of messages and just all throughout the OS. A lot of these same changes apply over here to the iPad. However, we still do not have a weather or a calculator application on the iPad here in 2021, which is just crazy. We definitely need at least one of them next year. But anyways, guys, there you have it. Those are some of the brand new features and changes found in iPadOS 15 Beta 1. So I'm sure I will find a lot more features and changes in the software, and I will be covering those in future videos. So if you do want to see that, make sure you subscribe to the channel. But if you did enjoy this video, I would appreciate if you gave it a thumbs up. And of course, again, make sure you guys do subscribe because I will have a lot more content coming on iPadOS 15 and iOS 15. But anyways, guys, thanks again for watching, and I'll see you soon.